Hey guys, John Carver here. I'm back with one of our programs just for you. I'm in the bowels, the engine room of a battleship. I can't name the name of the battleship, but as you see, there's all kinds of buttons and knobs and gears all around me. So the text today I'm calling My Many Buttons. It's a perfect background for the show I want to share. There's a lot of people in my life that have been in my life, and a few of them unfortunately are still in my life that push my buttons. And I think you can relate. The older I get, the more I realize it's essential to hang around people that push the right kind of buttons, because there are some people in your life that push the wrong kind of buttons. Can you agree? There's people that maybe bring up some old stuff from the past that causes you to get angry and frustrated. Maybe there are people that bring up some of the mistakes you've made over the years. Maybe there's people that try to intimidate you with some of their words and their actions. So that's kind of like the big picture of what I want to share here today. There's a scripture, there's quite a few scriptures in the Bible, but in the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 15, it says, "Don't be deceived. Bad company corrupts good morals." Bad company corrupts good morals. That's why some parents are very careful about where their kids hang out, because what they don't realize is sometimes when you hang around, let me rephrase that, most of the time when you hang around the wrong people, those habits will eventually get into who you are and into your head, and then you start acting crazy like other people act crazy. It's obvious that you and maybe I can be influenced by other people. When I first got into the insurance industry way back in 1988, I worked around some people that were very ethical. They were very honest, and they were very hardworking. Some of them were very inspirational. They were verbose, they were motivational, they were inspirational. And then there were other people that were not so ethical. In fact, they were downright dishonest. They did things that were illegal. They did things that were wrong. So I had a choice back when I was 21, 22 years old to either go with the people that were unethical, that maybe were getting more awards than I was at the time, or hang around people and learn from people that were honest, that had been in the business at that time for 20, 25, 30 years, because they did things the right way. So I had a choice, and I think you have a choice too, to either follow people that are ethical and honest, or follow people that are not so honest, that seem to be getting ahead more quickly than other people around you. A guy named Chris Jammy said one time, "Just because something isn't a lie does not mean that it isn't deceptive." He says, "A liar knows that he is a liar, but one who speaks mere portions of truth in order to deceive is a craftsman of destruction." That's a lot of information. Let me share that again. Again, by Chris Jammy. Just because something isn't a lie does not mean that it isn't deceptive. A liar knows that he is a liar, but one who speaks mere portions of truth in order to deceive is a craftsman of destruction. Think about this engine room right here. Look at all these gadgets and these knobs and these gears and all these things that are around me here. If I were to reach over and touch the wrong one, or pull the wrong lever, or push the wrong button, guess what's going to happen? Yup, I could make a mess. That's why I'm not going to touch anything, because I don't know what I'm touching. I don't know what all this stuff does. So I need to just back away. But yet you and I have allowed certain people in our lives to push our buttons and to do things that just get us off course and sometimes put us in a very dangerous situation. You have to be careful whose buttons you allow to be pushed and who you allow in your circle, because if you allow the wrong people in your circle, it's going to destroy your battleship. It's going to destroy your means of getting from where you are now to where you really want to, where you want to be. Your flow is determined by what you do and those you hang around. Again, your flow is determined by what you do and those you hang around. Imagine having a bunch of novices in this battleship who don't have a clue how to run a battleship. The battleship isn't going to go anywhere. It's just going to sit there. So that's kind of like an analogy to your life and my life. Because if you allow people in your circle and my circle that don't know where they're going, and we place ourselves in their lives, what's going to happen? You're not going to get anywhere. I'm not going to get anywhere. So if I want to get somewhere, guess what I have to do? I have to place myself in the circles, in the lives, on the teams of people that know what they're doing and know where they're going. My son Tim, who's in the control room, by the way, he is a magician. And it would be foolish of him, if he wants to be a magician, to hang around a baseball player or baseball players or accountants or plumbers or a field that he does not want to develop. So consistently, he communicates with and hangs around magicians. Now, I think that's a smart thing to do if you want to be a magician. If you want to be a plumber, which is nothing wrong with being a plumber, by the way, why don't you hang around, a plumber? If you want to be an electrician, wouldn't you want to hang around electricians? Or maybe read about people that know stuff that you really want to learn about. That's something that drives me totally cakes with the American system. So few people, because of technology, and I rely on technology an awful lot, by the way, they choose not to read books about people that have been there and done that and done things that could save Americans decades of their lives. They would rather do things that relieve stress. Dennis Waitley said years ago, he said most people, I'll probably paraphrase it incorrectly, but he said something to the effect of many times people invest time, waste time on stress-relieving activities instead of goal-achieving activities. Think about that a second. Most people spend their time, waste their time on stress-relieving activities instead of goal-achieving activities. There's a lot of stuff that I don't feel like doing, I'll tell you flat out. In fact, there's a lot of stuff that I don't feel like doing that most people don't know that I don't feel like doing. So what do? I place myself in situations, I place myself in relationships and a mindset that pull me toward what I need to do. Sometimes what you need to do is not something that you want to do, but after you do what you need to do, you're going to be glad that you did it. Does that make any sense? Sometimes you need to be forced into a situation mentally in order to take the steps that you need to take in order to do some really extraordinary things in your life. A guy named Allen Ginsberg wrote, "Whoever controls the media, the images controls the culture." Again, Allen Ginsberg. Whoever controls the media, the images controls the culture. There are people in your circles who don't care about you moving up or forward, and worse yet, they don't care about their own growth. Think about that a minute. They don't care about their own growth. In fact, there are people that really, and I say this in multiple shows, and you've probably heard them if you watched any of my shows, that there's a lot of people who don't know that they don't know. So if you and I choose to hang around people that don't know that they don't know, like this engine room, let's say you had the whole engine room full of staff, full of sailors that don't know that they don't know. So they're just pulling switches and turning knobs, doing things that they ought not be doing because they don't have a clue. But we hang around people like this and or have hung around people like this all the time, that they're pulling knobs and doing switches and they don't have a clue what they're doing. That's like me and mechanics and working on cars. Man, I don't have a clue. I know some basic stuff, I should say. I can change the oil and change certain things. I can do tire changes and change some belts if I have to. But it's not my area of expertise. It's not something that I enjoy doing at all. So there are people that can really mess you up if you hang around people that don't have a clue of what they're doing. Your entire ship, your entire life is going to be still standing in the next 40 years and not hundreds or thousands of miles closer to your goal. You're in charge of your engine room. I'm in charge of my engine room, not somebody else. No family members, no people from school, none of the coworkers. You have the ability to, what some people call, man your engine room, to design the team that you want in your own engine room that can take you places that you, frankly, cannot even imagine. Preston Nye wrote, most manipulative individuals have 4 common characteristics. They know how to detect your weaknesses. Once found, they use your weaknesses against you. Through their shrewd machinations, they convince you to give up something of yourself in order to serve their self-centered interests. And then he finishes with, in work, social, and family situations, once a manipulator succeeds in taking advantage of you, he or she will likely repeat the violation until you put a stop to the exploitation. Now, what does that have to do with all this? You and I have allowed manipulative people, and forgive the bluntness, but relational sociopaths in our lives that mess us up. They play mind games with us. They pull the wrong buttons. They turn the wrong knobs, push the wrong buttons that take us dramatically off course because they think they're out for our benefit. Because maybe you trust them. Maybe you think that they're out for your good, when if you look deep, when you pull under the covers and look into their background, you're going to see that you're not the only one that they tried messing with. So you have a choice. It's your engine room. It's your ship. You're in charge. You're the one who can either dictate to get people off your ship, to get them out of your life, or to allow them to still hang around your engine room, your mind, your heart, your life, your family, your workplace, that they have no business being on the ship in the first place. A, they don't have a clue what they're doing, and B, they're not in it for your best interest. You have them in your life. You really do. If you think about it long and hard enough, there are people in your life that don't belong in your engine room. A guy named Leo, I'll say his last name wrong, so forgive me. Leo Buscaglia said, "Don't walk in my head with your dirty feet. Don't walk in my head with your dirty feet." A guy named Dale Carnegie, great guy, lived decades ago, millionaire, wrote, "When dealing with people, remember you're not dealing with creatures of logic, but with creatures of emotion, of creatures, bristling with prejudice and motivated by pride and vanity." Most people run their lives based on emotion. Now, let that sink in for just a second. Do you want people in your life that run their lives based on emotion? Imagine if you had somebody that was in your life that lived their lives based on emotion in an engine room this size that dictates a vehicle, a ship, thousands of tons, that they're doing their job emotionally instead of logically. Instead of maybe using intelligence, learning from other people, mastering other people's skills and molding them to their own. Because you and I have dealt with people in our own lives that base their lives based on emotion instead of based on facts. They base their lives on feelings than on facts. That's where I'm reaching in my older years. I'm not 21 anymore. But I'm realizing that a large percentage of my life up to this point has been based on a foundation of emotion. A foundation that's not stable, because emotions come and go. I don't know about your emotions, but my emotions come and go. Sometimes they're up, sometimes they're down, rare days they're right in the middle. So if you base your life on emotions, then you're going to be up and you're going to be down, versus basing your life on facts. It's like this ship right here. What if the ship would allow itself to be maneuvered and travel the seas by the winds and the waves. Wherever the winds take us, we'll go. Whatever the waves take us, we'll go. Instead of having engines on board that dictate and a direction and a compass and a captain above us here that will guide us where we need to go. Think about that. So if you are the captain of your ship and you create the people, you create the systems, the engine room of your life, and you recruit people on your team, because you have a, believe it or not, you have a team. What you allow around you is your team, if you want to think about it like that. Who I allow around me is my team. If you allow your team members to get into your heart and into your head, it's going to dictate where you're going to end up. So here's where it gets a little hairy. What happens is you and I then, over a period of years, maybe a period of, I don't know what the time frame is in your own life, you're going to have to separate yourself from people in your life that don't have your best interest at heart. And that can be a little painful. Let me get a little more personal. There are family members that you need to sever relationships with because they are not, I'm trying to be polite yet not too descriptive. There are family members in your own life that don't have a clue where they're going. So they choose to feed poison to you every day in order to, because they just want to vent this negativity. They want to just vomit all this stuff on you, and they're not going anywhere in life. They blame anything and everything why they haven't taken steps forward. So then they dump all this negative energy on you, and now you try to pick up all these pieces, all this negative stuff that they're depositing into your emotional account. Now you got to get up again after dealing with them and all that baggage, that 50 pounds, 150 pounds of extra emotional baggage on your back from them. Does that make any sense? So what I've done and have been doing over the last 10 years or so is I've chosen to separate myself from individuals in my life that are adding weight to my emotional bank account. And all of us have emotional bank accounts. You have an emotional bank account, and I have an emotional bank account. So are you going to allow the negative people with negative emotions that have negative attitudes, that have, some people call potty mouth, they have potty mouth all the time, and they just, like I said before, they vomit all this nasty stuff into your emotional bank account. Now you've got your own struggles, you've got your own problems, you've got your own fears, intimidations, and goals and dreams and all that other stuff I talk about on the shows. But then now you have also the weight of not only one person's emotional stuff, but however many people you allow in your engine room that's dumping on you. Now to me, that is counterproductive. That doesn't make sense. So as my clock gets ticking, because your clock's ticking and my clock's ticking, that is till the day we drop dead, then you can either allow people to keep depositing negative stuff into your emotional bank account, or you can deplete the negative emotions from the others that have deposited into your account, and then fill your emotional bank account with wisdom and knowledge and tools and all these other things I talk about from people who have excelled in life, that have learned from really smart people. I can't do that for you. You know, I can give you tips and ideas and things that I'm struggling with, that I'm learning to get through. Yeah, that's all important, granted. But it's really important for you to decide, and that's where it begins. It begins with a decision for you that if you're going to eventually run your own ship, if you're going to run your own life, I'll say this multiple times in the show today, that you have to have the right people in the engine room. You really do. Because if you have the wrong people in the engine room, it is devastating. And I would say that 80% of the public, I'm being polite, probably 90% of the public, have the wrong people in the engine room because they don't realize that they're in charge of the engine room. They don't understand that they're in charge of recruiting the right people in their engine room. Let me give you another silly example. Imagine if you owned a baseball team or a basketball team or a hockey team, football team, pick a sport, soccer team, whatever. And you go out on the street and just randomly pick, however many people you need on your team. Chances are you're going to have a really crappy sports team. In fact, I can guarantee you're going to have a really crappy sports team. So what do a lot of, they're called sporting scouts or scouts, they go and watch players play a certain sport. Sometimes they invest weeks, months, years watching certain people in their sports. And then they choose people that have proven themselves to be really good in their craft, to be in their engine room, to be on their team, to be in part of their group, to be their inner circle. So if that works in sports, which it does every single day, across the world, why shouldn't it work in your life and my life if we choose to surround ourselves with people, to frankly go after people in a good way, to attract people is a better way to say it, to attract people into your circle that can help bring your ship to a location, to a destination that you're really trying to get to. This is not deep. This is not rocket science, to be blunt. But most people don't get it, that if they want to go from A to B, there's something that needs to be happening between A and B. B just doesn't happen, does it? It starts with A, and there has to be a plan, an agenda, a system in place. Systems really drive everything. If you look at any great accomplishment that's ever happened on the planet, it's happened not by accident most of the time. It's happened by a system or a set of systems in place that have enabled people to do things that have been extraordinary. Think about that a minute. Systems drive the ship. Systems drive life. Habits, systems, gears, pulleys, buttons, all that do things. Computer programs drive your laptop. Programs drive your phone. Apps drive your life. Systems move things forward. So if all these things move things forward faster, why wouldn't this analogy of this engine room also work for you in your own life? I know it's worked with me for a long time because I've chosen to surround myself with people that are going places and doing things that are great in life. And I'm not talking, I frankly can't afford to go hire executives, paying $10 or $20 or $30,000 an hour. But I can go to a bookstore or I can go to Amazon.com and buy their books and read their books and read their words. So then now I am mentally placing them right here in my engine room, that's going to help my ship reach where it needs to get, because now I'm surrounding myself with experts that are feeding into my mind and my emotional bank account. This is not rocket science, folks. But you cannot get there by yourself because you're not smart enough. And I'm definitely not smart enough. I have to rely on the wisdom of people that are far, far smarter than me. So if you and I choose to recruit the people on our team that we want to be part of our team, if you place yourself in the lives or allow people to be placed in your life that don't have a clue, guess what's going to happen? You're not going to go anywhere. You're not going to do anything. You're not going to achieve some of the biggest things in your life that you can possibly imagine. So I'm asking you today to build your team, to recruit people for your engine room that can take you places that you cannot imagine, that can take you to sites and experiences and have interactions with people and places that you can't believe. But it can't happen unless you build the right people from the very core of your ship. It doesn't start in the captain's chair upstairs. It doesn't. It starts right here in the engine room. So I'm asking you today, again, I'm asking you multiple times, surround yourself, recruit a team around you that will get you places that you can't even imagine. That's what I've been doing for a long time, and it's working. It is working, and it's worked for a lot of other people on the planet. My name is John Carver. Thanks for watching, and remember, I believe in you. Take care.